everyone, it's Sue Ralph here with Birdcage Craft Studio, and I'm bringing you my crafting tip from me to you, and this is number 45. I've had a request from Helen to show how I actually made these paper clay leaves that I actually posted a picture of a card that I'd made, and I'd made some of these leaves to put on them, and she wanted to know sort of how I got the colorations and things. Now, I use the clay by Stampin Up, which is called Simply Pressed Clay. One of the reasons I like this is because it's Stampin Up, but I love the way you can actually zip fold when you finish using the part of clay that you want to, so it doesn't dry up. The other clay I do use is Martha Stewart's, but they don't have the same sort of bag. Unfortunately, Stampin Up don't make any of the leaf type of moulds, and these are the ones that I actually got from Martha Stewart. So basically you get your clay and then you smush it into the mould, and then you can take out the impression. Now, I have found with this Stampin' Up clay, it seems to be a little bit damper, and sometimes you can, if you try and take the clay out before it's dried enough, it tends to stretch, so you don't get such a good impression. So I tend to leave mine overnight. Now, this one I did last night before I went to bed, and it has come out not a problem at all, but it's still damp. You need to give them really a good 24-48 hours to dry out properly. And as you can see, I did quite a few different ones. This is almost like, I suppose, a feather sort of flourish or a fern leaf. And then this is like a traditional, not really quite sure which type of leaf that is. A bit like the ones that you find a lot in the autumn, which is like a maple leaf, but it's not a maple leaf. Anyway, I'm waffling now, so I'm going to continue on. So what I did, I actually made a couple just to show you a few days ago. Now, that's how the clay comes in white, but if you add ink to it, you can either make, you know, whichever colour you want. So I've sort of gone for the orange tone here and one for the green tone, and I'm going to show you how you can change those colours in just a minute. So if I just put those out of the way, and I just want to come to the clay. If I just get my leaf mould. So this is the clay, and as I said, it comes in one of these like Ziploc bags, which is brilliant. It keeps the air off it. If you have any of this clay, or if you have like the Martha Stewart clay, you really need to make sure that the air doesn't go get to it, because it will dry out. So with the Martha Stewart one, it's always recommended that you put a wet paper towel in with the clay in the packet into another bag with a Ziploc, you know, to keep the air out. So this is the clay by Stampin' Up, and as I said, sometimes it can be a bit sticky. Now, some people have said to put it in the fridge. I haven't actually had very much luck with that, because I still think it still stays a little bit tacky. Now, quite often they say just to work it a little bit, just to get it going, and then what you need to do is to put it in your mould. Now, a couple of things that I've been reading about is that you can use a little bit of talcum powder. Just put some talc down and get yourself a brush and just dip your brush into the talcum powder, and then just go all over your mould, and that will make sure that the mould is dry totally inside. And then you want to take your clay, and what I do is I tend to smoosh it in. See, I'm using that word smoosh again, and you need to get it into all of the little leaves, any little nooks and crannies, and push it well in. It's no good just sort of having it lying a little bit in. You need to make sure it's pushed down nicely. And then what I do, because I'm working on my glass mat, once I've more or less got it all into place, I turn it upside down, and then I just squash down, and then you can actually see, if you look closely, some places that the clay has come out. So you just need to push in, and then you need to define your pattern by taking away some clay if need be, or just pushing it back into those areas that it needs it. So once you've done that, you've then got your leaf formed. Okay, and that can take a few minutes. Okay, so you just make sure that it's all covered in there, and then very gently just bring the mould back. And can you see, for some reason the clay tends to stick in this mould. It Could be because there's a lot of detail there. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to leave that just to dry for a couple of hours and then I'll be able to take it out. So I'm going to reseal my clay back up in my bag and make sure no air gets to it. And then I'm going to show you how we can work on our leaves that I've already done just to change the colour. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just with my pens put down some colour. Some orange and some green. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is just my finger, I'm going to pick some colour up and just spread it over the leaf. You can use a dauber as well, but I find if I use my finger I can actually get the colour in there a little bit better. And then with the orange one I'm going to bring some green in. If you put the pen straight onto your paper clay mould, you'll find that you will get lines, and that's not so good. So I tend to like to do it this way. Okay, so I just giving it a bit of extra colour. I don't know if it will pick that up. Okay, so you're starting to change the look of it. And then when I'm happy with the colour that I've put down, I get myself some Crystal Effects. I just dip it into, with a paintbrush, dip it into the pot, and then I just cover all of the leaf with it. And then if you want to, you can then just sprinkle on some very fine glitter just to give it a slightly different look. And what I will do is I have made a card previously using this sort of technique, and I'll put that up so you can see it. Okay, and this will actually just protect the colour and keep those colours in place. Okay, so you can work on them for as long as you like, but that is just very quickly just to show you what you can do. And these are ones that I've done previously and they've dried out now. There we go. Now, for those of you that don't have any of the moulds, that's not a problem, because what you can do is you can get out your stamp sets. And I've got my French foliage here, and basically what you want to do is you want to roll yourself out a piece of clay, and if you want to use colours, I suggest what you do first of all on your stamp is that you actually use a little bit of Versamark, and that will help to release it. Now the way I found to do it quite easily is to put a little bit of clay and squash it down onto your glass mat, lift it up again and then squash it, okay, so it doesn't stick too hard to your glass mat. Just put some Versamark over, oops, and then take your pens. I'm just going to add just a little bit of colour just around, and my green, just bring some of that in as well. And then you just press down into your clay. Don't leave it there for too long, so just press and lift, and then pull your stamp off straight away, and then you're left with that impression. But I'm going to leave it on my mat just to dry it a little bit. And when you do, you find that the leaves come out slightly lighter. So what you can actually do, once this is dry, you can get your scissors and cut around it. And again, you can add some of the glossy accents, and that will make the colour pop a little bit. But because it's paper clay, you will find that once it's dry, you can then cut around it, no problem at all. I'll just show you very quickly. Whoops, that's actually breaking away, so that's quite good because that looks more natural. So where I've pushed the stamping, can you see? It's actually got it quite thin there, so I can just break that away a little bit. Okay, and I follow around the leaf. There we go. Whoops, cut that bit up. And there you have a leaf that's ready for you to just sort of put some diamond glaze on if you want to, and if you want to sprinkle some glitter on, you can do that. Okay, I hope you've enjoyed that video, and I'll be back with another tomorrow. Bye!